Okay, guys, we are live. It is Tuesday night. It's Dave's LFC Chats. Hit the like, hit the share, hit it like Paddy the Baddy, hit it like Wayne McCullough, hit it like anybody, I don't care. And I'm chatting to an absolute legend. He's in the house, first time on the show. Hopefully be on many times. It's Niall from the upper tier. I see a little Shankly sessions in there. Niall, it's great having you on, bro. Really love your show. Hit the like, hit the share on Nialls. Give him your love. Give him your sub. Do you like that? Give him your love. Give him your sub. His link will be down in the description. Niall, how are you?
Yeah, good, my friend. How are you after that weekend? What a tough weekend.
Well, as I did say earlier, it's a bit of a deforestation. I mean, if you're into the Green Party or you're into, global warming, the forest cutting down Liverpool's trees, it was not good. We were absolutely shy. It was one of our worst performances of the season. I know Napoli hammered us and pissed on us, but Napoli are about 10 times better, to be fair, than Forest. They get beaten by the bottom team that only one win in 11. Fucking minus 16, I think he had going into that game. I think you were 10 or 11 to 1 by Paddy Power, something ridiculous like that. And they're at home. Get beaten by them. I mean, that says enough. If Paddy Power have you 10 or 11 to 1, he fucking beat you. That's all I need to know.
Yeah, no, it was tough, all right. We both have a bit of greenery there in the background, and I was like Homer, you know, when Homer goes back into the hedge to hide.
You know,
that's what I was like on Saturday.
Very symmetrical. Very symmetrical,
yeah,
isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, great minds think alike.
Mine's fake. Look, I suppose we might as well do a bit of a regurgitation of Saturday. I know it's going to be hard work, basically, to do it because I'm nearly getting sick talking about it. But we have to talk. We have to go backwards to go forward, as they say, with the big one tomorrow night. But the weekend, I just think you got it all wrong. I was on your show, I think, the night or two before. I think it was on Thursday night before that. We were talking about the midfield being key, and the midfield fucking let us down big time. I think the midfield's key in every game, to be fair.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was kind of like, when the team was announced, obviously losing Thiago and all was a big loss and stuff like that. But I wasn't overly worried when the team was announced. I was thinking we still should have enough of the tank here. Even if we've to grind it out a little bit, we still should have enough here to put these to the sword. Everyone's been tapping them up, no problem. But Jesus, when you see the start of the game, we went in there. The first 10 minutes, I thought we were okay. We went in and we suffocated them into their own box. And I thought, this is probably going to be okay. And then after that 10 minutes, because either something didn't fall for us or Carvalho didn't put away those chances or whatever it was, we started questioning ourselves again and going into ourselves again and, you know, second guessing everything we were doing. And all of a sudden, Forest came alive and they had a bit about them and they dug in. And, you know, the more they dug in, and I don't know what you think of DB Cooper himself, like Stevie
Jumping
Cooper.
out of the airplane.
Yeah, absolutely. And he had most of our players in the suitcase with him. He had all our top players in the suitcase with him. But yeah, it was crazy. Like, it was just, I've never seen us. I said it earlier on my own show. I think it was a worse performance than the Napoli performance, and that's saying a lot now.
Yeah,
that was shocking.
Yeah, it was one of our worst performances. That's what I'm saying. Because it was who it was against. Let's be real. These are still in trouble to get relegated here. I still think they'll probably get relegated. Let's be real here. You know what I mean? I was talking to Mr. Dorr, who's a big Forest fan channel. I think it was Wednesday night, and he was worried. He was going 3-4-0 to bleeding Liverpool. You know what I mean? He was giving them nothing. I was even giving them a goal. I was saying 2-1. I knew it would be a tight game. I was saying 1-0, 2-1. None of this 3-4-5 fucking nil shit, because we're just not at that level at the moment. We're not there. We did it against City. But even the West Ham game, Niall, I don't think we were great. I think we got away with one in that West Ham game.
West Ham was definitely a struggle. Yeah, it wasn't comfortable at all. And it was mad, the comparisons when you think about on the City game, when we were previewing that and looking forward to it. All the City fans were saying, yeah, we're going to push this 3-4-0. This will be a Haaland show. Won't be a problem and stuff like that. And it was kind of the comparison then from a week later when we went to Forest. Where did all these players go that were outstanding? I was dropping 9.5s and 10s in the ratings after the City game and stuff like that. And I was thinking, okay, you went out on Wednesday against West Ham, and you're thinking, yeah, there's going to be a bit of a drop off. You kind of expect that because City, obviously, you're going to be way up for the City game, but West Ham to be a bit of a drop off. But it still should have been
takes care of itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But then you look at you go to Forest, and like we know, it's an old school ground. You know, they're back in the division and stuff like that, and you know we knew they were going to be up for it. The fans are nearly on top of the game. Real old school, staunch. Love their team. Even when it's struggling to a man, they're loyal, you know. And I was just thinking, as I said, yeah, half time, like we just offered nothing in the first half at all. It was so bad, like. And I was thinking, I even did a quick little half timer myself, and I said, surely to God, he's going to make at least 2 changes.
He should have made at least one change at halftime, but he did.
Yeah.
But as I said earlier on your show, I put a comment in. He's trusting these players as absolute. He says that 11 he put out thought were good enough to win the game. So at halftime, even though he was shy, it didn't change his mind. Do you understand?
And that has been the case, isn't it? When you look at what happened at Palace and when you look at what happened at Fulham, even though we didn't cough up a goal early, let's say, the similarities are the same in terms of the loyalty and the sentiment and all those other things. And you look at them and you think, Jesus, just make a change, will you? Make a change. You can see, because you could see it coming. You knew something was going to happen. They get a lucky break or they go in there. What happens?
It's like Michael Jackson's song, Mane in the Mirror. Make that change. You know what I mean? He just won't listen. Absolutely. He won't listen. He won't do it. And he's stubborn in that way, isn't he? I mean, we've seen it, as you said, in a load of fucking games. Cup games, huge games. The bench, especially with the 5 sub rule now. Although our bench, to be fair, was not a B&Q bench or a Woody's bench. It was a particularly bad bench.
It was crazy. I looked at, I said in the match reaction, I looked at Forest's bench and I was jealous of Forest's bench. And I was thinking, pure wood
on that bench.
I said, we're in serious trouble. If I'm looking at the bench that Forest has and I'm jealous of that, we're in serious trouble. Serious trouble. It was horrific.
Mark Forrest is saying K to Gordon now for the rest of the season. Is he? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, he came onto the injury list there this morning, I think, or yesterday.
Fucking injury list.
Yeah.
The fucking injury list. I mean, the injury list is like, it's like something Santa Claus would have. You know these lists that he has for tell me if you're good or bad, the bad list. We have a fucking injury list. And Santa Claus has the injury fucking list for us. It's unbelievable.
I don't know if you remember. Remember in the movie Beetlejuice?
What?
Remember in the movie Beetlejuice when they were all queuing up outside the office and they were all in bits. It's like that. It's just crazy.
That's exactly what it's fucking like. Beetlejuice mania. Mick Moran is in the Cowboy Podcast. How are you, Mick? Hopefully you're well, bro. Look, we put that shit show aside. Obviously, tomorrow night is big game. I think it's a huge game for the season tomorrow night.
Massive.
We need to get something out of it. A draw will do. I think we probably will get the draw. I don't even think we're good enough to go there and win, but you never know what Liverpool, as we see. We just don't know what team's going to turn up. That's part of the problem for me. We're Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. We don't know who's going to turn up, who's going to play. And that's more worrying than anything, isn't it? Because it's like the Schrodinger's cat, both dead and alive at the same time inside the box. We don't know if Liverpool can win or lose at the same time. And in another universe, they'll win a game. This universe, they probably lose. So this is the thing about Liverpool. So I think key tomorrow night, again, is the midfield. But we did hear today Thiago is not available, which is a big blow. It's a huge blow. He had an ear infection. Did you? I mean, what kind of an ear infection was that to go to the hospital? That must have been some ear infection.
Yeah, 100%. When I heard the first, I was saying, take an antibiotic there and put a bit of cotton wool in it, you'd be grand. But then when I heard he was rushed to the hospital at 5 a.m. and we whatever it is, the guy that we rely on so much in midfield, we just can't rely on. That's the conundrum with this guy. Like, it's, illness, injury, the whole lot. It's just, where do you go? It's so infuriating, because if we had had Thiago there on Saturday and even there,
I would have made the difference. We would
have bashed them, absolutely.
I'll have to read this comment out because this comment must have took about 15 minutes to bleed and type out. Revenite FC, I missed the Liverpool that even I can't even read it. If we were defending like champs, we could batter them. I can't even read that. Can you?
Offensively, yeah. Yeah, we
you
can't
really
do
out there,
anything.
you can see it better than me.
Yeah, he said, I missed the Liverpool that even if we were defending like chumps, we could batter them offensively. So he's probably referencing back to the good old days of the 4-3s and stuff like that. The good old days of the 4-3s and the 5-4s. Just show us something. It's Nunez or nothing with these injuries. Yeah,
look,
absolutely.
I tweeted something yesterday, actually, the 5-0. We beat United, that famous 5-0 at Old Trafford. I think it was yesterday last year.
Yesterday was the anniversary, yeah.
The good old days. I mean, for fuck's sake.
What a difference a year makes, huh? Crazy.
So what do you think? What do you think tomorrow night? I mean, I did say yesterday, and I did a show yesterday, I was saying, away from home, conservatism hits in, a bit like Rishi Sunak, it'll be pure conservatism tomorrow night. I think he'll go 4-3-3. He always does away from home. There's never any risks, especially in a big game like this where we need something out of the game. But the fact that Thiago's missing now, I think he goes back to Fabinho, Hendo, and probably Elliott. I think that he does something like that in midfield. What do you think? Nunez hopefully he'll start. That'd be huge for us.
I wouldn't be surprised if he went with Fabinho, Hendo, and Milner. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
And puts Trent back in. Trent back in at right back.
Trent back in at right back, yeah, absolutely. Because we're gonna need, even as bad as the weekend was, we're gonna need some sort of creativity. I don't see him switching Joe out there. I think he might switch Joe out just to give him a break after the kind of the mistake that kind of led to the goal, if you like, indirectly, if you like.
There was a lot of work to do after that mistake, though, wasn't there, really?
There was plenty of work to do, but the whole mistake was in shambles, really, to go in that tight at that level on the pitch and stuff like that and get caught. Ear infections can cause dizziness, so could be bad. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I'm not downgrading an ear infection at all. They can be horrific. There's no doubt about it. But
obviously, if he's gone to hospital, he's missing 2 games.
Yeah, you're 5 days on from an ear infection. You would think an ear infection is kind of like you get an antibiotic to cool it down and stuff like that, and it would take effect after a day or so. And you would think after 3 to 5 days you might be okay. So I wonder if it's something more than an ear infection.
Maybe if he's listening to an FSG podcast, some lunatics that could be on Liverpool screaming their heads off, that'd give you an ear infection.
Absolutely, yeah. Maybe he went into the hospital with the ear infection. He hit his knee off the trolley on the way in to get the ear.
Or Naby Keita, who's training today, even though a lot of people don't realise him and Ox aren't even in the Champions League squad, so he can't fucking play anyway.
Oh, God.
Naby Keita gets injured playing Monopoly. Let's be real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Playing fucking Monopoly.
God.
We won't even talk about that. Him and Ox, the two of them are the most injury-prone players in the universe. So I mean, obviously, I'd go 4-3-3. I'd keep it nice and tight. We all know about giving silly goals away. This is a good young attacking Ajax side. I mean, they're I think they're 4 points clear of the Dutch Eredivisie. PSV are second. Yeah. They're hammering teams left, right, and centre. But to be fair, it's similar to the Scottish League with Celtic and Rangers. So it's hard to read. I think he won 4-1 or 4-0 the weekend, but it's hard to read what they're beating, in that type of way. Yeah. But I think they'll give Liverpool a win, and I don't want to give them anything. I don't want to give them any type of, like what we gave Forest. And it just to be, the crowd will be up for this on Ajax, because as you said earlier, this is the last saloon for them. They draw, they're gone. They lose, they're gone. They need a win here and even have to hope to beat Rangers and Ibrox and that. Hope Napoli doing a number on us. So it's it's the last. The only good thing it could play into our hands, Niall. I mean, the fact that they have to come out with us might open the game up nicely for us. You wouldn't know.
Yeah, give us a bit of space in behind and stuff like that. Yeah, absolutely. I think they do have to come out and play, and I think initially we might have to sit in a little bit. So it might be comparable to the Forest game where we're kind of like Forest, where we have to sit in a little bit for a while and then attack when it opens up and stuff like that.
Hopefully more Forest.
yeah, because I think the problem is if we go out and we go to attack and stuff like that, as you said, they're really good. Their passing is excellent and stuff like that, and they do have players that can damage you and stuff like that. And I think if we do open up really, really early, I think they might catch us on the break and stuff like that. We need to be really, really careful, and we just need to be composed, and we need to be precise, and we need to be at it from minute 1, like the City game. At it from minute 1.
Need to be professional.
Tight. Go out there. Yeah. Go out there as Liverpool, pass the way we should pass. Don't be coughing up possession too easy. Make them have to work hard and stuff like that for the ball and stuff.
We seem to be a different animal in the Champions League, Niall, to be fair. I mean, I think we will turn up tomorrow night. Whether we win the game or not, we don't have to. I take a draw, hands down. Just to move on. I think it would be a big bonus to bring into the Leeds game Saturday night. You've parked the Champions League. You've done the job of the game to go. You can look forward to the draw or the fucking game, which probably won't be till February. You know what I mean? It'll be well into the next season. Players will be back fit. You might even have 1 or 2 FSG little checkbook boys coming in January. You never know. So I think it's huge tomorrow night and for confidence.
Yeah. What it does is, Yeah, it allows us, it gives us confidence, but what it does is it allows us to park the European situation for a while and then get down to brass tacks and focus on the run in the league now all the way to the World Cup and try and put some points on the board and some performances before we break up and stuff like that. But I think, wouldn't it be very Liverpool to go out tomorrow now and beat Ajax well and then drop to Leeds? Isn't that what we've been about this season? It's just been that way, you know, so it's just... We've been the ones, instead of us looking for our momentum, we've been the ones providing the momentum for most teams we've come up against.
And I'll tell you, Leeds need momentum as well, because they're in a bit of the dumps as well.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. But yeah, no, I think, look, if you look at the way they've played in the Champions League, obviously there's a huge difference between us and them in the Champions League. But I think with what we have available and stuff like that, with Nunez coming back and Konate potentially coming back into the side and stuff like that, that should give the side a lift as well from a confidence point of view. And I think if we get a captain on the pitch as well from the start, I think that'll make a big difference as well. I think if he had been on from the start at the weekend, I think it would have made a difference. And I've been as critical as anyone about Hendo, but I think, you know, he does give you that little bit of bite at times when you need to sit in and get going on things and stuff, you know. So I'd like to see him in there from the start, yeah.
I think tomorrow, I think one word we have been missing since the start of the season, and it's control. There's been no game, other than maybe the Bournemouth game, but I'm writing that off. I'm fucking right. I know it was 9-0, record equal and all that crap, but Bournemouth, that game was over after 4 minutes. We were 2-0 up. It was over. Yeah. But there's been no control. Even the West Ham win, even the Ajax win. I mean, Ajax had chances at 1-1. Your man Danny Blind, or Danny Blind, I was calling him, for missing that fucking chance. You know, there's games where we got out of jail, card playing
Newcastle.
Against Newcastle. Remember that last minute?
Yeah, 98 minutes.
So every game there's never really been that control. Even the Rangers game was only 1-1 at half time, remember? They had a great chance that was blocked. I think it was Konate. I mean, there's no control in any of the bloody games. And the Liverpool at the best were controlling games. Even if they're not playing well, they were controlling games. They were the ones changing the tempo, bringing it up, bringing it down, you know, deciding what to do. It was what Liverpool did with the ball, not what the opposition did. And we haven't seen that. I don't think we're going to see it tomorrow night, to be fair. But, you know, it's just, where do we get that back, though? Where do we get it?
Yeah. Well, I suppose what you do is you look to what we did well in the Man City game, because if you look at the Man City game, was probably the one game this season, apart from the, like as you said, the Bournemouth one and the Rangers ones. But the Man City game is the one game that we look at where kind of 11 players kind of showed up and gave it a go.
That's it.
And they looked like they had a bit of structure. They looked like they had a bit of bite. They looked like they had a bit of fight for each other. They wanted to have a go and stuff like that. And that was and it's gas to think that it's the Man City game. When you think of all the teams that we played, the Fulhams and the Palace and Bournemouth and all these teams and stuff like that, that the Man City game is the game where 11 guys show up, have a right go and get the rewards that they deserved. But surely tomorrow night, I mean, it's European football. The last thing I want, I said it on the preview, the last thing I don't want us to stumble tomorrow and have to go into that Napoli game looking for a point or something. That would be an absolute disaster.
That would be pressure. Because if you were to drop into that Europa League, you were to drop into that fucking Thursday night. I've been slagging United fans for the last few. You know, that Thursday night football is a disaster. It could destroy the whole second half of your season. Really.
It's not only the whole second half of your season, but it could just spiral into so much more over the next 2 to 3 seasons. Because if you think about it, if we're playing Thursday, and all, you know. But if we're playing Thursday, Sunday as well, you know it's going to be a problem for us, because I don't think we have the strength in the squad to deal with it between injuries and everything else. And the other thing as well is if we end up in the Europa League, get out January's going to be so attractive. I was messing with you the other day saying we're going to sign some 17-year-old goalkeeper from the arse end of nowhere or something like that. That could be the reality of what we're being pitched in January if we're in the Europa League. It'd be terrible. And just the thoughts of dropping down and we can't banter United anymore or anything because we're down there with them and all that. You know, it'd be horrific.
It is some fall off the mantelpiece from almost winning the quadruple. Only a few months ago, I mean, we were actually weren't at, we were Villa trying to hold on to even get a draw for us being 2-0 up. Yeah. I mean, Mane hitting the post, Salah had 2 or 3 great chances against Madrid, weren't even great that night. I thought we were unlucky in the Champions League, but from that level to this level, injuries come into it, of course they do, but it all goes back to FSG. Now, I'm not anti-FSG. I'm not FSG out. I think FSG have been absolutely brilliant for the club. When you look at what we've had, be careful what you wish for. The likes of Hicks and Gillette and all these arseholes and bad owners and putting debt on the club and stuff like that. When they come in, they sorted the club out. They built it up. The stadium's looking unbelievable. We've a new stand in next year, which have an extra 7,000. I'm sure you don't want to be watching Europa League with that new stand. So the big question for me is, I think they lost. There's about 2 windows that they really, really missed. And the year we won the league is when you go hard. That was the year, 2020, June, July, August. We were on a high. I was in dreamland. I was nearly going to retire from podcasting. We won the league after 30 years. I was in fucking dreamland. But they didn't do enough in that window, did they? They didn't address it. They knew the profile, the age profile. That's all there in front of them. I mean, they're not thick. They're pretty good. And that's what's really surprising me. It's not even the money spending on players. It's this mellow, dramatic signing by Arthur Mello in the last fucking seconds. He hasn't even kicked the fuck up. He kicked the ball all right for about 20 minutes. That's all he's had. He'd probably never kick a ball again. That was a stopgap. That was just a panic buy. It was a silly buy. There was no intelligence behind it, no thought behind it. It was like playing five-a-side to kids on the road and you see some fella walking by eating an apple and he asks just want to kick around. Don't even know if you can play football. You don't even know how to kick the fucking ball. You know what I mean? So what do you think of the FSG policy? I mean, they're going to have to, all eyes are on them now in January. And Jude Bellingham and Mbappe, forget about fucking Mbappe. Look, I don't even want him. He's a bleeding diva. Don't want him. He's an arsehole. Don't like him. Jude Bellingham, I would like. But are we ever going to spend the money to get Jude? There has to be question marks in that one.
Well, see, the problem is, and we have to ask ourselves this as well, and I ask myself it all the time, we don't just need one midfielder. We probably need 3. And the problem is, if they go hard for Jude Bellingham, and Jude Bellingham ends up costing
that cuts at least 2 out, doesn't it?
Well, that cuts the rest out, because if they go in hard for him and they drop the money that he's going to need, and imagine if he goes off and lights up that World Cup, that's going to throw another 10, 15, 20 million on him, and probably an extra 100 grand a week as well in wages. And that's the point where we check out. We just don't. We talk ourselves like a big club, but we don't act like a big club.
No.
And remember those days when we turned around and go, we badly need a goalkeeper, Alisson. We badly need a defender, Virgil van Dijk. You know what I mean? And we just go out and we just do these things. And then between that and the great job the scouting did with the likes of Robbo and stuff like that, and Costas and all, and then all of a sudden we just crap ourselves, like one signing is enough. One signing is nowhere near enough. We could sign Jude Bellingham next summer, and that would be great. I'd be delighted if he comes in. He's a serious footballer, and he's youth and all that, and it's great, and it fits the profile.
But we need more than that, wouldn't we?
He's not going to fix it. What happens if we sign Jude Bellingham and Thiago's still injured? Henderson's another year older. Milner's another year older. Fabinho's another year older. But we have Jude Bellingham. He's not going to fix the problems that are there solely. No. And if they drop a wedge on him, that's going to be it. The shutters are going to come down unless we have the next kind of cool freebie that we can unearth and stuff like that. But we know the king of that looks like he's heading off to United, Mike Edwards. Julian Ward, yeah, he's after tying down Salah and stuff like that. And obviously Klopp extended his contract and all that kind of thing. But look, we need so much more than that. Like you'd wonder, are they saving the money? Are they potentially thinking down the road of a sale? And is that why they're not? Is that why they're not?
Because they're saying, "Well, we won't be here next year." You know that type of thing.
Yeah, like are they holding out? Because you think about it, we went in hard at that stage for Tchouaméni at the start of the summer, and obviously with the disappointment in the Champions League and the draw of Real Madrid at that time and all, that's where he chose to go. And you can understand with Camavinga there and everything and all why he did it. But then that money just went back into the safe.
Why did we stop on Tchouaméni when we knew we needed that type of midfielder? This famous thing where Klopp talking about, well, it has to be the right player, and Tchouaméni was the only player available.
Yeah, well, we could list off 10 midfielders that would improve us and make us better. We spoke about it throughout the summer and stuff like that on various transfer shows and stuff like that. There's a half full of midfielders out there that we could have went and purchased that would make us greatly improve the midfield that we have, and certainly the options on the bench. And I just think I don't know what it was. I think we knew straight away once Real Madrid came in, we knew that they weren't going to let up, especially they had to deliver something on the disappointment of Mbappe as well. The fans were up and over Mbappe and the U-turn there and stuff like that. So they had to deliver Tchouaméni and they went all in. And at that stage, when we looked at the way the money went, we just checked out and said, right, that's enough for us. And we've done that in the past as well with players. And you know, are we going back to the deep dark days now where, you know, we used to identify a player like Van Dijk and we'd wait a season for him if we had to. And now we're looking, are we going to go into a situation again now where we settle for third choice or fourth choice, or, you know, the way it used to be? Remember we used to go out and sign Konchesky's.
Paulson and all these fucking players. Remember that? The Roy Hodgson. Roy Hodgson, man. Roy Hodgson. Remember that one of them fucking players? I think it's the famous, is it 2010 or 2010 I think it is. And you have picture. 11 spearing in fucking midfields and bleeding. What's your man's name off fucking Newcastle? Holy fuck.
Carroll.
But that's what I mean. I mean, when everyone's fit, we have a decent side. Let's be real. But as I heard you on your show earlier, when you have the likes of Diaz, you have the likes of Jota, you have the likes of the guys that are out, even the Oxes and the Nabbies that come back after the World Cup. And in January, everyone's fit. Then the FSG turn around and go, well, I'd actually rather have my shiny new yacht instead of fucking a midfielder. Should we have all 100%? What you need?
Yeah, you've
enough players. You know,
you've just announced our January transfer window. If anyone's in the
shiny
chat,
new yacht,
get down to Paddy Power. Throw a few bob on all those names we've just put out there.
Did you see the thing I did on Twitter with John W. Henry?
No.
I have to send it to you. I did a thing on Twitter in the transfer window. I had John W. Henry with his wife, Linda Paluzzi, standing beside him at Anfield. And I could do a mouth over, so I did John W. Henry saying, hi guys, are going to spend big money this summer and all this. And people were fucking believing it. I got over 100,000 views on fucking Twitter. Oh, fucking idiots.
I
was just a piss take, really, you know?
Yeah. And you know, come the 1st of January, we're going to be absolutely linked with everyone. We're going to be linked with everyone under the sun. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah. But look, back to tomorrow, Niall. As I say, hit the like, guys, hit the share. Check out the upper tier podcast. The link will be in the description. Give him your love. Give him a sub. That's the big thing because it's top class podcast. But I just say tomorrow answers a lot of questions for me. I mean, you've got to turn up. They've got to go out. They've got to show, play for the badge, the famous play for the badge thing, be professional, high tempo, give nothing away. Ajax have to go for it. So it sort of plays into our hands a little bit. They're not going to sit back. You know, it'd be different if we had to do something. They have to do something. And hopefully we can catch a goal or two on the break. And I think Nunez looks like he probably will start seeing him in training today. Looks like it'd be Bobby, Salah, Nunez. Looks like it'd be Fabinho, Hendo, Elliott, or Milner, as you said. And I don't think he's any choice to go Trent, Robbo, Gomez, Van Dijk. Although Konate's fit, I don't think Konate forces himself in that quick. I think he'd be more looking forward to the Leeds game. And with Alisson, who's been probably our player of the season so far, hopefully he's a good game tomorrow night, because I think he will need to have a good game tomorrow night against Ajax for us to come away with anything. But I just hope there's no regrets left on the pitch. You know, no mistakes, no regrets. Get the result, park it, as you say, park it. Move on. That's done. We'll talk about that in February. That's a done deal. And then Leeds, which is a tricky bleeding banana skin, potentially on Saturday. So as you say, I think tomorrow night is big. It's big. You know, every time we keep saying this is a reset, we go again. How many times can you say reset? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Should we even mention that word? Are we in a? Should we mention that word transition year? Good Lord, we're talking about being in a transition year.
I did that back in the 90s.
Jesus, Eamon, tell me about it. Eamon there in the comments. Thiago out for tomorrow, maybe Leeds too. It's becoming a joke. If he's out for the Leeds game, there's no way that can be an ear infection.
No,
he can't be out for a week. You can't miss 3 games with an ear infection.
Ting did say it was pretty bad, that he was definitely out. He was definitely out for tomorrow, and it was question marks for the Leeds game. And I'm going, what the fuck was going on there? Did he got music on too loud or something, man? What's weird?
I don't know. I think maybe the wife or one of the kids had an ear infection. He was carrying him into the hospital and he tripped over or something like that, or something, and hit his knee or something, because it can't. I don't know. Like, if bad ear infections over a week, missing 3 games.
Do you ever notice that with Liverpool? They seem to find the worst of the worst injuries and the worst of the worst like sicknesses or diseases. It's never something simple like a cough or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or a fucking
it's like when you
pain
had a
in your
head
tooth.
cold years ago and you asked your man after a day off school with a head cold. They give you a clipper down the ear and say, get up and get dressed and get into school, lad.
They give you an earache.
God, yeah, absolutely.
Gary Richards is saying, Bjaticic, the young lad, I don't think he'll throw him into a big game like this. There'll be a lot of pressure on him, you know. He's a good player now, great for the future. Really looking forward to him. Even Carvalho. I think, Niall, I don't know what your thing is on Carvalho. I think he's going to be absolutely, if he just keeps going at the progression rate that he's going on, that linear progression rate, he'll be unbelievable. I think he's been thrown in a lot more than he would have been because of injuries. I mean, no choice but to play him. But I think he's better as an impact sub last 20. At the moment.
I think because they're youth, himself and Elliott, we started out at the start of the season and we were heavily relying on them too. And there was a lot of weight on their shoulders. They were carrying the side at one side, especially Harvey. To the point after 5 games, he was absolutely drained. Don't know one of those games. I think the 5th or 6th game, he was subbed off and he nearly had to be carried off. He was so drained, like you could see it in him. And then Klopp, I think, took him out for a game or two and then he came back. But I think with those two, I think because of youth and stuff like that as well, I think you can't rely on them. They're going to give you a really good game, but they're also going to make mistakes at times because of being.
They're still learning. They're still
learning and stuff like that. And I think the problem for us at the moment, we're in a position where, because we can't rely on some of the senior players there at the moment because they've had such a drop off, it's a real problem when you're putting these guys into the side. Like, it's a real problem for me when we're walking off the pitch and like, our man of the match is either Alisson or Harvey Elliott. I mean, that's symptomatic of where the problems are, you know. Like, it stinks of remember United last year.
Man of the match, it tells you something.
Remember United last year. David De Gea was man of the match for United all last season. And it stinks of that as well. And it's frustrating. And then the problem you have as well is if we don't find a turnaround on this and bring in and refresh the squad and do all the things we should be doing and get back to that level that we should be at, you might get some senior players in there that might be looking elsewhere. Then they might turn around. You know, they're going to go off to the World Cup. Alisson is absolutely supreme, unbelievable player. We're so lucky to have him. I think it's only in time we'll appreciate him what he's really done.
Yeah, I'll be up there. He'll be up there. There's no doubt
he's
about
unbelievable. And I just think a player like him, you know, he might be one of those players that gets talking when he's away with the World Cup squad. And he might have a think about where he's at and stuff like that. If FSG don't pony up and do what they should be doing and show the ambition that players like Alisson and the team show, their ambition, the ambition that we show as fans. And I said it earlier, I think that's where the disjointment is between the owners, the staff, the players and the fans. There's just a disjointment at the moment and people are starting to question the creaking cogs in the wheel. And as you said, they just stagnated and they didn't make the investment that they did. I compared it earlier to a car. If you buy a Ferrari or a Porsche, you're not going to run it into the ground and not get it serviced and put the proper parts in it and change out the things that the engine needs to perform at a very high level. And that's what we've done. We've basically had a high performance car, had an opportunity to create a dynasty. We should have created a dynasty during this Jurgen Klopp era. We should have been winning everything. And
to be fair, now,
it
didn't help being up against Man City. Now we could talk to them all day long. I mean, even the great United teams would have found it hard against City. Let's be real.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I mean, timing is everything. But again, you know, we went 30 years without winning the league, and we were up against the great Man United sides and the great Arsenal sides and the great Chelsea sides.
We came close 2 or 3 times, to be fair.
Came close a couple of times, but I just think as well, when you look at those seasons where we just missed out by a point or stuff like that, just that other signing, that one more signing, that other 50 million, that one more step, that other midfielder that we needed, maybe that other forward or whatever it is, would have got us over the line. You know, and if you think about it, if you look back on Klopp's era here, if it runs out the way it might run out, you're kind of going to look back at it, and obviously there'll be great moments, the Barcelona game and all that. There'll be great moments to look back on, stuff like that. But in reality, will he look back on his time at Liverpool?
Lost, wouldn't it?
The opportunities missed because we just didn't take that extra stride that a Ferguson would, that a Man United would have, that Arsenal would have, that City did.
I heard you
transfer window winning out.
Tipping on it earlier. Klopp signing his extension. Salah signing his extension. Surely, Salah and Klopp with the owners would have been sat down and chatting and saying, listen, You know, I want to be here. I want to stay. I want to build. I want to do this. Investment has to have been mentioned. It just has to be. I mean, Klopp, we know how good he is. Anybody will take Klopp. There's no reason why he should stay at Liverpool for life. He can go anywhere. Could be the German coach or whatever. Yeah. So surely they had to say to Klopp, listen, yeah, we'll back you. I mean, I know Klopp said a few things during the summer about, and I've never heard him say it before, and he looks frustrated in a lot of interviews, which you've never seen. I've never seen him until the early days when he came into Liverpool first, but certainly not the last 3 years, where he looks frustrated, he looks angry at something. I'm wondering, there's something going on in the background here. And saying, I don't sign the checks, basically. You know, I just say who I want, and if they don't get it, well, I can't do anything. I haven't got the money, you know what I mean? Surely Klopp said to them, listen, if I want something, Tuchel, like you said, maybe they were willing to pay the money for him, apparently. But is it Klopp maybe being stubborn and saying, as I said to you earlier, he trusts in this group so much that if there's a drop off of even fucking half the team, which seems to be most of the team, they're like his sons. They're nearly like his sons in a five-side. You won't fucking drop them.
What's the line on that great book? Training is our transfer window.
Am I right, though?
Lord, good.
What do you think?
Yeah, well, see, the thing is, it's hard to know, really. It's hard to know whether FSG pulled back, or it's hard to know whether Klopp was stubborn in what he wanted and he didn't get it. Or it could be a mixture of the two. And that's why sometimes you hear us coming on podcasts at times, and at times we question the gaffer, and we love him. We absolutely love him to the hilt.
I don't want him going anywhere.
And we don't want him going anywhere. And just because we question some of the things like the substitutions or the formations, stuff like that, it doesn't mean we want them out. And a lot of people react that way, go, oh, so you're Klopp out now, are you? No, I'd be never Klopp out. But I just think, you know, you have to be able to say things when it needs to be said. Like I said the other day in the Forest game, why didn't we make changes at half time? When it was clear to us looking at it, we were flat as a pancake, and he just didn't make those changes. And you have to be allowed as a fan to turn around and go, well, I didn't think that was the right thing to do. And I don't know more than Jurgen Klopp about football. I'm just looking at what I see. He's training with these guys day in, day out. He knows what these guys are doing. They have much more information than us. But I just don't know. There seems to be, and I think you've mentioned in the past as well, there's something more going on there at Liverpool, isn't there?
I just think
that might not even be football related.
I think there's something going on, maybe boardroom level. I don't know. That Naby Keita thing was something weird there as well. Do you not think they left out a Champions League squad and stuff, bit of niggly? You never see it in-house fighting in Liverpool. It's very rare. Something is not quite. It'll only come out when Klopp leaves or in the book in about fucking 10 years' time, you know, that type of way. It won't come out now. I could be wrong, but it just, you know, we can sort of sense something because everything has been going so smooth the last, say, 4 years. I mean, we've been ridiculous the last 4 years. Doubters to believers, whatever you want to say. Actually, from doubters to unbelievables. I mean, ridiculous. It brought us to new heights. We've loved it and enjoyed it, but we want more. It's not only that. When you're at so high a level, to have such a drop-off, as you said, opportunities lost in transfer windows, opportunities lost in trying to build a dynasty, or even not even build a dynasty, just to stay up around there, be up fucking City's arse. You know, we don't want to turn this into a bleeding farmers league. Arsenal are doing okay at the moment. I don't think they'll stay there. Sorry, Del Boy, but you know what I mean? I don't think they'll stay there. I think City will probably pull away next year, but it's going to be harder. And you've teams like Newcastle coming in with huge investment. I mean, Chelsea still get big investments. Forest got fucking huge investment. Never mind fucking United. So
Villa bringing in Emery.
I mean,
bringing in Emery, you know,
bringing in Unai Emery. I mean, it's not going to stop. The money is in the Premier League, and FSG have been brilliant. Yes, absolutely. But I think the next window, January and next summer, I think it tells a tale with FSG, really, doesn't it? I mean, it's probably already told a tale with most fans, but for me, it's screaming for something in January. Just like a Diaz. Like we brought in Diaz last January. Gave us that boost. Gave us that catalyst. We need something in January in midfield, attacking midfield or whatever.
Do you know what my fear is, Dave? My fear for January is this. Not dissimilar to Arsenal. Not like Arsenal last season. Not dissimilar. We'll be on the cusp of a top four and we'll be in there and we'll be battling for it. And you get the feeling because of these players coming back, we may not sign anybody. And would I dare say, we might even make a few sales. Like what Arsenal did when they were on the cusp of the top four and pushing on. They let 7 players go last January, if you remember, and they brought nobody in. and then it
They're
caught
caught
up
them
on
by the
them around the
bollocks,
February
right,
March
guys?
period. And I would not be surprised in one bit if that kind of thing went on. If you look at Keita and stuff like that being excluded from the Champions League, are they trying to baby him through to January and keep him fit so they can bang him out the door? Because he's
We'll
obviously
swap
not.
him here.
It
We'll
doesn't
swap
sound like
him
January
plus
soon.
money for Bellingham to Dortmund.
Oh,
But,
good Lord,
yeah.
can you imagine?
Would
Can you
Dortmund be that
imagine?
silly? But look,
Yeah.
we'll just finish on tomorrow night. Obviously,
Yeah.
we could talk all bleeding night about it. I have to get you back on again, my friend, whenever
Yeah.
we can.
No
But
bother.
check out the upper tier podcast in the house. Description will be down below. Have you much coming up this week to tell the people what's happening this week?
It'll be match reaction tomorrow night and player ratings as always. Win, lose or draw. Come on for my sins. It's my therapy, as they say after the match, that I can share my sadness with other fans if it doesn't go
Confession
right.
box.
Yeah, that's what it's pretty much like. Then Thursday we do Thursday Tier Talk. That's where we preview all the Premier League action. We talk about the latest news headlines, but we also look at the betting market and we do our picks and our tips.
Do you ever have any good bets? Any good wins?
Yeah, we've had a few come in and stuff like that. We nominate a charity bet as well for a charity each week as well. And if bet comes in, we donate it to charity and stuff like that. So yeah, just a fun show. It's very similar to our Monday night show. Real relaxed, not too much structure, just a bit of fun and a bit of banter. Then Friday, I'll probably do a preview for the Leeds game. It's just full on at the moment when it's Champions League and Carabao Cup and all. Literally every day or two, you're producing content. It's non-stop between previews and match reactions and all that kind of stuff. So after a while, you start looking forward to a break like the World Cup where you can chill back and, go back and look at, say, talk about Robbie Fowler's career at Liverpool and go back and look at the highlights of that and stuff like that. And we do little shows like that during the World Cup and stuff.
Brilliant,
so, fun shows. Yeah, so that's kind of what's coming up at the moment. That's what we're on. Yeah.
You're similar vintage to me, so we should do an 80s show sometime, talk about the cartoons and films and stuff back in the 80s, late 70s, early 80s, because I mean, obviously I was a kid in the 70s, so it was just, that's what I love. I used to do a Friday night show years ago, but because of copyright, when you play music, say 80s music, it'd be like me drinking beer, fucking Aha in the background and fucking Michael Knight music on by Miami Vice. But you can never put it up because it just get copyright straight away.
Yeah, or you come in after a few beers and you shoot a podcast and the TV's on behind you and straight away they take it down. Yeah.
That's fucking ridiculous. I got done on the watch along years ago, back in 2019 for the famous 3-1 win away at Bayern. Remember the Mane turn and swivel?
Yeah.
Watch. I got shut down for 6 weeks for a watch along, and I had nothing. Just me sitting here. Television was over there. You couldn't hear it. Television was down. Just someone came in. Sorry. He's talking about the match. Well, I don't know, bollocks.
What was the reason they gave you? Because I mean, that's what they all do now, isn't it?
All right, this was back in 2019. Everybody seems to get away with it now. It's 3 years ago.
Yeah. I'm sort of.
I'll tell you what
do you think of the watch-alongs?
What?
Huh? What do you think of the watch-alongs? What do you think of the watch-alongs?
I do an odd watch-along, but it takes a lot out of you. It's 2.5 hours nearly. Yeah. I do have no fun. My voice would be gone the end of a watch along.
Yeah, I often find them weird that someone watching football would like to watch someone who's watching football. It's like a sort of a vicious circle, really, isn't it? It's kind of weird, but they do really well, and the lads do a great job.
People watching me, and they said my commentary was better than fucking DT's, so they put my commentary loud and watch the match. You know that type of way.
Yeah, absolutely. The commentary these days is terrible.
It's terrible. Fucking don't mention McManaman. Fucking hell, great player, but what a terrible.
Can you believe he was even a red the way he goes on? I can't even believe he was a red the way he goes on. It's mad.
No, he's
nothing to say about us.
Like Steve Nicol.
Yeah. You swear he only played for City and Real. He swear he never played for us. It's crazy. Yeah.
I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll call it a night. Just before we go, what do you think tomorrow? What's your scoreline tomorrow night?
I hope we go out and we get a decent win, but I think I'm thinking of a 2-2. But they'll shed years off. 2-2, I think they'll shed years off my life as they normally do. But look, I'll tell you, a draw or a win would be great. I just don't want to face the Napoli game needing something. That's all I want. Whatever it is, just don't face the Napoli game needing something. Let that just be a throwaway game where they can play
just get the result.
Yeah, I'm not even worried about topping the group because the way things are shaping up in the competition.
Yeah, it means
it doesn't matter this year by the looks of it. Doesn't mean that, and especially this year when you see the talent that's going to drop into the Europa League, and hopefully it won't be us. Hopefully.
Well, Niall from the Upper Tier podcast is going Desmond 2-2. I'm going to go 1-1, fish and chips 1-1. Look, score, draw, whatever. once we get through tomorrow night, doesn't really matter what the scoreline is or whatever happens. Once we get through and we can park it, Champions League's done and dusted, then all eyes on Leeds.
Well, decent performance.
Well, something we can bring in, package and bring into the fucking Leeds game. Similar to what we said the City game, that we didn't quite bring into the West Ham game, but we got a result. We'll leave it there. Check out the Upper Tier Podcast. Description will be down below. Give him your love. Give him a sub. Hit the like. Hit the share. That was Niall. This was Dave. Stay safe. You never walk alone. Let's go.